Meet and greet. I really come from the world of higher education. In higher education, we are addicted to meetings, not just meetings, but meetings, especially in administration. Faculty is bad enough, but administration, it was pretty common as a vice chancellor going through and attending anywhere from 4 to 7 meetings in one day. And that was pretty much a weekly occasion. Pretty much in a 5-day work week, it's pretty common to sit down and meet 4 to 6 times every single day. So having a dozen meetings a week was pretty much the norm for any kind of a C-suite executive in higher education. Hopefully private sector is better, but frankly, from what I've heard, no, it's just about the same. So how do you have a successful meeting as you go through? A lot of times they're time wasters as you go through. A lot of times people just like to sit there and talk and they like to meet. But to have a productive team, you can sit down and make a huge amount of things as you go through and make them move quickly if you follow some of the steps over here. People don't like them, but they can be critical if you want to sit down and have people pay attention to your thoughts as you go through. People form judgments and careers can be made or blunted as you go through. There are opportunities to demonstrate leadership as you go through. Meet only when the topic demands a rich medium. A lot of times you can conduct a lot of business texting, email, or whatever, but keep in mind, these issues are riddled with problems. If you don't see somebody face to face, they're going to go only by the words that are written and not by the emotional context that's behind them. And keep in mind that sometimes when people don't understand the full context, they will not grasp the whole message. Remember the UCL study, 92.7% of all the participants, if they didn't fully understand the message, they relied upon the nonverbal communications and the activities that people do with their face, their hands, their ears, their body as they go through and make certain that they're not covering up on the whole thing. It's a big deal when you meet face to face. So whenever there's a crisis, my recommendation is get faces together and people together. The least is FaceTime, the best time is face-to-face as you go through. And make certain you invite the right people. You have a calendar for scheduling so everybody's on the same thing, and you distribute an agenda as you go through to keep people on track of the topics you're going to talk about, and even putting times as you go through. Determine the purpose of the meeting. Put it in writing. The purpose of the meeting is, and write it out is what it is. Attendees, put the names down there. Those that are there, make certain that afterwards you sit down and reflect it in the minutes who was there and who was invited and wasn't. That way they can't sit down there and complain about, well, I was never invited. Oh, yes, you were. You decided to blow off the meeting because of whatever in the process. Make certain that you go formally on record who's there, who's not there, and in the process as you go through. Train the participants on technology if you're using it. That really helps an awful lot as you go through. I've seen meetings where you spend the first 15 minutes fighting with a projector because the light bulb burned out or a computer is not loading up some kind of software properly as you go through. Decide how and where to meet. When you manage the meeting, start on time, review the agenda and ground rules, boom, boom, boom. At the beginning of the meeting, don't waste time with people talking. Don't waste time with people sitting down, getting coffee when the meeting is already supposed to have started. They can get their coffee, they can get their cookies and donuts, they can sit down there and talk on other topics before the meeting. Start on time, get out on time. It's a process. Appoint a recorder or a secretary for the meeting, each and every single one. Typically, the one who calls the meeting should be the one to provide somebody to record the notes that go on. Encourage participation. Otherwise, if you're don't want people to participate, don't invite them to the meeting. Just tell them what you want them to do. And if there's conflict, confront it frankly, clearly, using the action voice. Summarize along the way. Okay, now we decided this over here. We decided this. At the end of the meeting, you want to always sit down and review the decision, task, and deadlines for each one. Okay, and ask your recorder, can you go over who's doing what? Okay, so-and-so, Herbie's doing this over here. Charlotte's doing this over here, and they'll have it done by this day. And so-and-so's doing, I got a team of 2 people and put their names down there. Put it right there in the notes. Name names as you go through and who's responsible as you go through. Here's a tactic too. You always want to have the minutes distributed promptly. Now that being said though, what happens is that if you have a meeting, let's say every 2 weeks, typically if you send minutes out right away, people will forget and they'll procrastinate on the assignments because they have other duties to do besides that what happened in that meeting. So that being said, I typically always send out the minutes 4 days before the next meeting, because then everybody, oh my gosh, I have to go and do this. And they get it done much quicker. If you do it right away, they may forget and procrastinate on it. Sometimes timing is when the minutes hit their desk is very important. And then follow up to remind participants to make certain they do action items. On virtual meetings, real-time gatherings to disperse participants, a lot of this, like this class, as you go through, audio conferences, as you go through the train, sales presentation, there's a lot of reason to have virtual meetings, and a well-run virtual team can be very productive and sometimes outperform face-to-face meetings. Get the best technology, don't go cheesy, so the thing goes through and halfway through, it kicks out as you go through. Train the participants that they need to be trained as you go through. Explain how people can ask questions and answer them as you go through, and be aware really seriously of the differences between time zones, and then rotate the meetings so everybody has a chance to be able to sleep in or start late, whichever is better in the process. And so encourage participants to log in early as you go through. Ensure everybody knows who it is that is speaking. If you have a guest speaker, introduce that person. That's the responsibility of the chair. And silence electronic alerts and alarms, and tell people to keep off their phones during the meeting. Be precise, speak simply, and sound upbeat in the process. There's so many problems with video that sometimes if you sit down and like a little bit of gloom over here, everybody misinterprets that for something else, when here you're just really ticked off that the stupid computer isn't doing what you wanted to do. Don't multitask, focus in as to what you're supposed to be doing in the process, and manage turn taking. Humanize the virtual meetings and keep people productive and engaged as you go through. Meetings are non-productive unless there's a plan. So have a plan as you go through. Have an agenda, have minutes, track attendance, and make certain that on the action items, you label who's supposed to do it, give them a deadline, then have an expectation and call them out on the next meeting. Make certain that meetings are a place of accountability to get things done. Take care.